Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the grayscale trusts as well as a little bit of macro because I think it kind of matters right now to keep things in perspective. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to go over is the fact that the entire market or the markets in general, I mean, crypto actually held up pretty well, shockingly, at least the native crypto space. But the entire stock market or stock markets, because there's four indices actually, as a whole kind of really got slammed pretty bad today. Yeah, I kind of wasn't expecting it to look like this towards the end of the year, but something that you guys may not be aware of is a lot of Wall Streeters or people that operate hedge funds or people that have any kind of large fund or money managers, stuff like that. They usually rebalance, reposition, and maybe even take some profits around the end of the year for the start of the year. That's usually how they do it. And you guys got to understand because Trump's coming into office, there's policy changes. So some of these guys may want to shift into different positions. And there's this thing for accounting purposes, they may be doing this, but a lot of these guys are also potentially trying to lock in some bonuses before the end of the year. So naturally, by taking profit, especially larger players, it may have a little bit of downward pressure on the markets. I think it's temporary. Plus, for accounting and tax purposes, there is this thing known as marked to market. It's basically trading terminology. If you don't know what it means, I suggest you look it up and educate yourself. Marked to market, that's what it is. So, yeah, anyways, that could all be at play right now. So I wanted to show you guys this. We did have a pretty disgusting sell-off this morning in the Nasdaq and also the S&P, but I want to point this out. Okay, so the 4-hourly time frame again. I want to show you guys this. Okay, and I got to stretch this out a little bit. You guys can see the last few times that we got a oversold signal on the Nasdaq, very similar to other charts, other assets. Usually that indicates a major swing low. Okay, we saw one back here in October, and then you got another one here in October again, and then in November, and again in November, and we just recently saw another one in December. But yeah, the difference this time actually, and I'm sure you guys, those of you guys that understand what we've been talking about here for a while, you can pretty much see it right off the bat. There is actually bullish divergence going on the 4-hour time frame on the Nasdaq. But the key point I want to make here is that every single time we have seen an oversold signal, not sure if I even drew that right. Yeah, no, I guess that is bullish divergence. So price going down, RSI going up. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know why I got confused there for a minute because technically, I mean, I don't know if you guys see this, but actually, there's also what appears to be some kind of bearish divergence. So, but again, we're operating on the contrary here. So if the market appears to be moving down, we're looking for the opposite move here, which in this case would be bullish divergence, which is why we're talking about that. But the point I want to make here is every time we got one of these oversold signals on the RSI on the 4-hourly time frame in the past few months, it has led to a major swing low. So I kind of think this sell-off that we've had is pretty much about done. Okay. I think we're getting very, very close to a bottom here. I don't think we're going to go much lower, and I'm actually going to point out other reasons why as well. So this is something usually I will not talk with you all about until we do the macro videos, which we are going to do later. But I want you to notice here these stocks above the 50-day moving average on the S&P 500. We are getting very scarily close to that buy zone here. I want you guys to keep in mind since 2020, we have only hit this level 5 times, okay? Once in 2020, we got twice in 2022, and twice in 2023. So this is an extremely rare oversold reading. And keep in mind, the 50-day moving average, that is basically more for short kind of midterm traders, like swing traders. This is not necessarily an investor's game right here. The investor's game would be the 200-day moving average, which in this case it is selling down, but it's not like really oversold. But The point of the 50-day metric here is that it kind of indicates a potential major swing low is coming in on the markets. In this case, this would be for the S&P. The Nasdaq's holding up a little bit better, but again, it's getting pretty close to those kind of July lows, which, if you guys remember correctly, that was kind of around the time we had that major super flash crash in August. So it's possible they could just bounce straight off of this level too. There is another metric I wanted to point out here that indicates potentially we may be about to see a major bottom in the markets on top of everything I just showed you guys, and that is the Fear and Greed Index. This is the stock market version. We have a crypto version too. But this one is currently in the fear. Last month it was in the greed. And I saw this interesting headline here. Dow sinks sharply as Wall Street gears up for possibility of a Trump victory. Okay, what the hell is that supposed to mean? What does that even mean? Didn't Trump, I'm pretty sure Trump won the presidency on November 5th of this year. What are they talking about? Right? But there's also in addition to that, there's other possibilities of, like, people are worried about a recession. Oh, there's going to be a recession. Oh, there's going to be reinflation. Inflation's going to go to 10% or 20%. Guys, look, let's keep things into perspective, okay? They have literally been worried about this exact same thing since 2021, 2022, okay? They've literally been terrified of this same thing for years. It's just a fear mechanism, okay? These guys are just trying to flood the crap out of the markets to get them to sell off so they can get cheap shares and then pump the price back up when nobody expects it. And everybody panic dumps their shares at the bottom, and they're like, oh, just kidding, guys. We're going to go higher. There is no recession or reinflation or any of that. And they pull the rug out from under you every single time. This is the reason why we look at these metrics on this channel, so you guys can keep things into perspective, okay? And this article, I'm not saying anything definitively here as fact. In just my opinion, I think the title is absolutely ridiculous. Trump already won. What are we even talking about here, right? Okay, so we're in the fear metric. Usually when we get to fear and extreme fear, somewhere in there, it's eventually going to slide back into the greed, extreme greed, which again is another potential bottom indicator. We got the fear here, extreme fear on the stock price strength. This is literally the lowest reading we've seen since the start of 2024. I would say that's, if that's not a bottom indicator combined with everything else that we've seen along with this one's stock price breadth, then I don't know what is. I think all things considered that we've talked about, the likelihood that we're about to get a reversal here pretty quickly is pretty high, I would say. It's looking like we're about to hit some kind of major bottom. So as for Bitcoin and crypto, I do still expect that it's been a little bit more bearish and neutral than I've kind of expected it to be in the month of December. December's not over, so we'll talk about Bitcoin in the macro video on the monthly time frame. But the fact that we've even seen this much of a pullback just leads me to believe that January is just going to be that much more bullish. That's kind of what I think. Again, you guys got to understand how the price action works here, okay? The further in one direction an asset moves, the harder it's going to move in the opposite direction, okay? It's like a slingshot. So when you pull a slingshot back, right, the further you pull that rubber band back or whatever that is, the more violent the move is, the projectile is going outwards, right? It's kind of the same thing with the markets. So the more that we pull back, the more this thing is get put under bearish pressure. When it does eventually explode to the upside, the explosion is going to be absolutely stupid. I think we're going to see something like that in January. That's just my opinion. All right, so I did also want to tell you guys that we did buy some more shares of CLSK too. We were waiting to see if it got under $10. It did, so we went ahead and struck the iron while it was hot. Last time it was under $10, we didn't buy any. That was a mistake, so we wanted to make sure we did it this time. Again, the idea here is to buy into the fear, not into the greed. So anyways, LTCN buy zone here, 1350 to 1825, somewhere in there. Again, it's literally at the bottom of this channel. We've seen this formation many, many times. It broke out to the upside eventually. And again, this has held as support for quite some time. No guarantee it has to. It could come down to $6.50 to $8, but it's held for a long time. I highly doubt that's going to happen. And it's sitting right at the perfect bottom of this support zone, so you guys can do what you want to with that. Targets up here 25 to 54 for about a 330% gain. I mean, again, the amount of profit that you would make on this, it kind of depends on what your cost basis is, right? I'm sure not everybody's is going to be perfectly at the bottom of the support. So buy zone here on BCHG 516 to 590. Again, it is in that green box. Targets ranging anywhere from, I'd say, about 1040 going all the way up to 24 here for about a 325% gain. HZEN. So retest the structure. That's not a shock at all. That's going to be about that $5 area for potential buying opportunity, and 8 to 1230 as a target. 145% gain. ETCG. So yeah, I mean, pretty much anywhere around the EMAs could be potentially a good buying area. So 11 to 1260, somewhere in there. I mean, if you're really worried about it, maybe 950 at this trend line. That's up to you though. So targets up here at 1850 to about 20 for as much as 78%, and then going all the way to 107%. But keep in mind, Ethereum usually does start ripping to the upside in Q1 of the post-halving year. That usually does happen. Exactly when that's going to happen, I don't know. But usually it happens in Q1. Okay, so ETH buy zones here 2360 to 2840. 5290 as the cup and handle target for a potential 130% gain. GBAT, this was the only one up on the day. That's, well, not the only one, but the only one with substantial gains. That's actually quite shocking. Okay, so pretty much anywhere in this green zone, I'd say 770 to about 980. Pretty good price. I mean, you could look for it to get down here to 450 to $5, but again, it was down there before. Do I think it's going to go back down there? Probably not. I mean, we're getting further in this bull run, and I think eventually we're going to start getting the parabolic moves. The closer that we get to the end of next year, the later in the bull run we get. So, I mean, these things have got to pop to the upside eventually at some point. They can't just stay down here forever. Okay, so 32 as the target, which the all-time highs. Of course, it could go much higher than that, 310%. FILG. So sit nicely on the EMAs. We'll see what happens next week. 60 to about 65 here as the buy area, and then 400 for the all-time highs. 530% gain on this one, GLIV. So it's pretty much, I mean, this looks like, how do I explain this? This looks like GBAT back when it was down here at these lows for GLIV. I mean, that's pretty much all I can say about it. It's kind of sitting perfectly in support here. We've been at this zone before quite a few times too, so it is a pretty major level. So buy zone down here, 11 to 15. You guys, of course, can determine for yourselves what the most appropriate potential buying area is for you, or if you even want to buy these. $80 would be the target here. Whoops, I really just did that. I did not mean to do that. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so $80 is going to be the target up here, right around the all-time highs, 580% gain. G-Link, yeesh. Okay, nice big fat red candle. Again, a retest of the EMA is not really all that shocking, not what I would like to see, but it's pretty textbook stuff when it comes to trading. So 73 to about 88 for a buy area, and 220 as the target. I mean, again, 204% gain. I mean, if you guys, if any of you had bought down here in kind of this $30 to $40 area, even with this pullback, you would still be massively in profit. Just assume your average was at maybe 40-ish. At the swing high, you would have already been up 330%, but even with this drop, you'd still be up a massive 140%. So if your average was down here and you got in before the pop, I mean, you don't really care at this point, right? You're just kind of riding the wave. Okay, so GSOL, looks like we may have potentially created a double bottom here. I mean, we did technically break down out of the bear flag, but I just really don't see that move happening. It's just too large. It would have to go negative for that to happen. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so buy zone down here, 16 to 23. target all the way up here at 115. Of course, you can kind of pick anywhere in between there to suit your needs. So 570% gain here at GXLM. Yikes. Okay, well, I mean, we've been talking about this zone forever, so here it is, 36 to 40 as the potential buy zone. Again, that's a flip zone or a structure zone right there. So you got 52 to 58 and then 74 all the way up to 95. You kind of pick and decide where you want to potentially take profit. It's up to you. 165% gain here at Meta. Anywhere in between these two white lines up here, ranging from kind of $19.50 to about $10, I would say is a good buy zone. I mean, it's spent a lot of time in there, and the last time we got anywhere lower than that was kind of at those bear market lows. So, I mean, in this zone, I think it's probably about as good as it's going to get. The target would be up here at 70 for potentially about a 600% gain. Last but not least, Zcash. Yeah, this is a weird one. So for whatever reason, it appears, actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and move this because this is not perfectly on center. So the top of this green candle, that would actually be the kind of structure zone. So yeah, we did actually get below it last week. That, I mean, that's fine, whatever. So anywhere from 430 to going up to about 630 could potentially be a good buy area, in my opinion. I'd be looking for targets anywhere from 950 going up to 1410 for potentially as much as 172% gain. Okay, so there's one last thing I wanted to take a look at with you guys, and that is, and again, I know we didn't cover this in the Bitcoin video recently. I'm trying to remember how I do this. I think it's Bitcoin / ETH? No, this is way off. Okay, let's try this. ETH BTC. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we didn't cover this in the previous video, but basically what we're looking for here is kind of a break above this trend line, indicating that ETH is actually going to start ripping to the moon and that we're going to get that alt season. Again, Ethereum is the leader of the altcoins, okay? Once Ethereum starts gaining dominance against Bitcoin on this chart, that indicates that the bull run for altcoins and Ethereum is in full swing. The last time that we saw something like this, you guys can see we got that cut of the downtrend here and we started going kind of stupid. But the thing I actually want to point out here is we didn't actually really take off. I want you guys to notice this, okay? Last cycle, we didn't really start taking off until we got into, like I said, Q1 of the post-halving year. You see this nice little pump here into January, February, then a little pullback into March, and then things went absolutely stupid in Q2 of the post-halving year last cycle, which we're coming upon now in this cycle. Between January and May, June timeframe, we got a huge run up on Ethereum and all coins. Again, when ETH gains against Bitcoin on this metrics, when we eventually start getting swing, a trend change, higher highs and higher lows, that means that the altcoins are going to start popping off like bottle rockets, and it's just going to get stupid, and the gains are going to be absolutely insane. I think most people, probably myself included, are going to be blown away by what we're going to see. Okay, so anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.